What's up, Walking Dead friends and family? It is Brian Castrillo, and I'm here with another review. This is for The Walking Dead Season 11B, Episode 10, New Haunts. And this was a really cool episode. Now, I heard a lot of people saying that this was really weird, but weird in a good way. Yes, we have not seen our heroes or our family in this type of safe environment really ever. I mean, there was moments in Alexandria. You had moments in the prison or various other places, but there's definitely nothing like this. And there was a lot of cool moments. We had there were some moments that made me smile, some moments that made me go like, what the F? And everybody in this episode was so good. Like everyone has played the role perfectly, and I really enjoyed it. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is now Layla Robbins was first introduced. Now she is Pamela Milton, and we also seen Sebastian Milton, of course, played by Teo-Rapp Olsson. This wasn't his first episode, but this is kind of where we got to really get to know him. And if I had to pick an MVP, honestly, it's going to be Teo-Rapp Olsson, who played Sebastian Milton. And we're already going to we're going to hate this guy a lot, but in fact, we're probably going to hate him more than King Joffrey. But Teo-Rapp Olsson, like, I was watching him on Talking Dead, and he is such a cool guy. I hope I get the opportunity to meet him someday. I'd love to pick his brain and maybe ask him some questions. Hopefully I get to see him at a con or something. But yeah, he was really cool. Like the character development for him was absolutely amazing. One thing I did notice, you have 4 characters in this that were really kind of paying attention to their surroundings, like really, being cognizant of what was going on. And that, of course, is going to be Daryl, Rosita, Carol, and Magna. And if you're watching them, just watching the things that they notice, it was really interesting, just watching their body movements and things going out through the episode. But let's get into this, because I really enjoyed this episode. And it's like The Walking Dead just keeps getting better. But we start out and it's Halloween. And there's this Halloween festival going on, really cool. And it starts out in this haunted house, and you see Daryl, Judith, and RJ, and they're going through this haunted house, and you got these zombies that are trying to get in, and he's just kind of walking them through, and then all of a sudden a zombie comes through, and you're watching the kids, especially RJ, who is absolutely adorable in this episode. I really like what he's bringing to the show, but you could see he's really scared because he hasn't really had much interaction with these walkers. I mean, there was a couple, but this, you could tell he's still kind of scared. And this is probably one of his first, even though not a real zombie, kind of one of his first moments where he gets to kind of feel out a situation. Even though he's perfectly safe, Daryl's there. There wasn't, there was no harm in this. But I think this is going to be the first moment as we're kind of getting some character development into how RJ's upbringing is going. But I just thought that was a really cool moment. And then you got this, you're going through the Commonwealth, and you're seeing all these people, and they got their different masks on, and everyone's dressed up in their Halloween outfits, and a really wonderful moment. You got Jerry's family there, Nabila, his children. You got Ezekiel, who's you see him kind of tending to some animals, which is probably why he has that job, because of course he was a zookeeper. But they're kind of playing around, and you got Ezra, which is Jerry's son, and of course Ezra in another fandom, Star Wars, Ezra Bridger. I thought that was kind of a neat name, that his name was Ezra, because that's going to be a big name coming forward in the Star Wars community. But this isn't about Star Wars. This is about The Walking Dead. And so Ezra's, he's dressed up as a tiger, and he's playing with a chain, and it's actually Shiva's collar. And then, they're done playing, and then you see Jerry, and he says, okay, it's time to give it back. And this look of sadness comes over Ezra, and he doesn't want to give it back. And then Jerry sees how much joy this had given to him, and he goes, you know what, this did mean a lot to me, because Jerry went back and got this for me, and of course the memories. But what means more to me is family. And he goes to him and he says, I want to give this to you, but you got to promise me two things. One, always have fun with this. And then two, keep Shiva's memory alive with you, and just do good by Shiva. And it was absolutely just a beautiful moment. I was definitely getting emotional. And then you see Jerry and Ezekiel hug, and that made me emotional too, because the last time we saw them was their last hug, and a lot of people were speculating that they may never see each other again, and that was kind of like their goodbye hug. I'm so glad it's not. I mean, if you go to my character profiles, you know that I have a prediction, but I'm so glad that they got to see each other again. That scene really made me happy. And another big moment, and this of course is for the actor Khary Payton. His daughter Maya, she cosplayed Mercer in the episode, and she won this grand prize. And I thought it was really cool, because I know Khary Payton has mentioned how he doesn't get to see his family, and looking more into it, I know Maya wanted him to quit, but and I know this is really tough on Khary Payton, but I thought this was a beautiful moment that they got to work together, and I was so happy for Khary, for them, that they actually got to work together. But the thing that's really interesting is that her grand prize that she won was 10 lottery tickets. And this is kind of building into the class separation. Like, I don't know what you can win with these lottery tickets. I don't know what type of raffle. Is it money? Is it something else? But that was just interesting that they gave lottery tickets to a child winning a sort of a cosplay contest. But yeah, I absolutely love that scene, and I got these notes that I'm looking down here, because this episode was so cool with a lot of things going on that I had to take notes. Now, within there, you see Carol and Daryl, and she goes up to, and of course, you got Carol, Daryl, Rosita, and Magna being some of the key people that in this episode, because they're the ones truly paying attention to what's going on, or at least are noticing like little things. And Carol asked Daryl, like, what do you think of this going on? Is this for real? And it kind of reminded me back when Carol first got into the kingdom, and she was kind of like, what is this stuff? And she's, of course, Carol being Carol, snooping around. But and then Connie and Kelly come up, and this is where we learn, Connie is a reporter, and Kelly is sort of her interpreter for everybody. And one of the things that we learned is that she actually interviewed Pamela prior to the world falling apart, and she had actually got her uncle kicked out of Congress. Now, it's interesting that they brought this up, and then you hear Carol say, "That was you?" So Carol knew about this too. So she was aware. This must have been a very big story. Carol knew about this, but makes me wonder, what happened with the uncle? Is this guy still alive? Is there going to be something? Does Pamela realize that was Connie back then? Does she remember, or is, as we're seeing Pamela, who kind of just ignores those beneath her, did she basically kind of forget that that's actually her? Because I think that could play into a role once Pamela realizes who she is, if she doesn't already know already. because class warfare is going to play a large role into the Commonwealth. Now, another interesting thing is we saw Carol, her job is she's working in the bakery where Tommy was working before, he was just kidnapped by Lance. And we see, and of course this is Carol, this is Alexandria all over again, and she's getting everybody to think that she's just this, nice old lady, that, is baking cookies, just and nothing to think about. Although we know who Carol really is, and we know the badass that she is. Of course, she's been here since the very beginning, and if you go to some of her scenes, like Terminus, like how she saved him, we know who Carol really is. Now there's another scene where Judith meets a friend named May, and they're getting to talking, and it's kind of cool that Judith actually is getting a friend here, and she goes to buy her a record at this record store. So we're really kind of fleshing out the Commonwealth, getting to see some of the different jobs that are there, and lo and behold, there's Princess, and of course wearing a crown here, and she sells them a record, and I thought that was kind of cool. That record's going to come into play a little bit later on, but so then you see Daryl and Rosita, and they're coming out of their house, and again, this is showing, the poor situations, and they're coming out of their apartment complexes, and, they're mentioning, did you sleep? And, Rosita's saying how, no, it's like the walls are paper, and neither of them slept, and they're just talking about the conditions of it. So they have, like, basically the poor housing. And it's kind of neat because the different characters, you're seeing the type of housings that they're giving them. Interesting based on the jobs that they have. So Daryl and Rosita, they're going through different training, and they're training with real life zombies, and you see them going through, and Daryl asks if he can work with Rosita, probably trying to protect her, at least because that's who he knows. And Rosita's, one thing Mercer's saying, this is about teamwork, and these are your training things. And Rosita seems to play into that role very well, but Daryl does not, and he's a loner. This is what Daryl has been the whole time, and he's trying to like do everything and save him, and then the partner that he had almost gets killed, and then you see, Mercer shoot the zombie or walker that was trying to attack him, and Daryl's like, what did you do that for? And then Mercer reminds him this is about teamwork. And I have a feeling that those two are going to develop into a bromance, as the season progresses. So now there's another scene where Daryl, Rosita, and Sebastian are out with Mercer, and they're doing, this advanced combat training. And Daryl, goes, it was supposed to be just Daryl, but then Rosita says, no, I'm volunteering because, they're family. And then you see Sebastian, and this guy is like, the character is such an ass, but night and day from the actor. Teo-Rapp Olsson is awesome. If you aren't following him, you're missing out. Go check him out on Instagram and all his different socials. But he's going through, and he makes fun of Judith's little sword, and he's lifting up the Daryl's crossbow and just making remarks to Daryl, and you could tell, and even the looks on Mercer's face and Daryl, they're both getting annoyed with them, so Sebastian has to fight these walkers, and it's his training. He's trying to make himself look good, trying to put himself in a position, because he realizes that his mom is the head of the Commonwealth, so he's got to be next in line. But the way he talks to people, he's just a straight up ass clown. But the dude can't fight. He can't fight to save himself out of fight out of a wet paper bag. He's clueless, and he's trying to fight off these walkers. He gets one, and the other one's about to get him, and Daryl's just watching, and he goes up and picks up his crossbow, comes around, shoots him in the head, and then Sebastian's pissed off. He turns around and he notices his mother's in the background. So there's got to be some dynamic between them two, as to, because it seemed like he felt embarrassed, and he doesn't want to be shown up. He doesn't want other people to get more accolades or look better, because his mom just watched Daryl save his ass in that, and he just looked stupid. He basically looked stupid in that moment, and he got upset. So so now you see Carol. She's snooping in the hospital, and she gets caught by Tommy. Yumiko's brother. And what's interesting about that is last time we saw him, he did not want to be found out that he had doctor skills, and he was taken. And apparently they got him to talk, and he's now working in the hospital. So what happened between him and Lance? I'm curious, and I hope we get some more background information on that. But so she gets caught by Tommy, and he's like asking her, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm basically snooping. And he didn't get upset. So I feel like he's going to be someone on our family, because I do believe that the family is going to be split. There's going to be those who love the idea of the Commonwealth and like the safety, and there's going to be those who don't trust it. And I believe Tommy is kind of on our side that does not trust the Commonwealth, because he wasn't mad at Carol, and she asks him about Ezekiel, because she was looking into it, talking about how he's sick and he needs surgery, and what are his chances? And he basically told her it's not good because there's a line, and Ezekiel's way down the line, and it's not good unless he can somehow miraculously, move up the line. It doesn't look good for him, and the situation's bleak. And so, and it was kind of cool watching Carol, how she got keys in there, because she's walking in the flowers. She bumps in, and she grabs a key off the maintenance dude, and Carol being Carol. But then after that, we see Carol sees Lance talking with Stephanie, fake Stephanie, because well, I'll get into her later, but not the Stephanie that, Eugene has physically talked to, but the Stephanie that he probably really was talking to. But I mean, that has not been situated. But so, anyways, she sees Lance talking to her, and he's bringing wine, and he's like, it's the best I could do. And, she's like, that's not good enough. You need to do better. But I know you're basically pressuring him to make this happen. Now, Lance, I see him as he is like the number 2 in charge to Pamela Milton, but also understands that Sebastian is the family, and he's basically going to end up getting pushed out. So I have this feeling that Lance, he may have some contacts within the CRM, and he does not like Pamela at all. I think Pamela is just some high-class snob and just puts herself above to keep herself in power in her class. She's willing to do anything to maintain that happening, while Lance may have some more sinister plans to take out her, to put himself in power. And I believe there's going to be a power struggle with that. But so after that, Carol goes out, and she's in this wine cellar, and she fights these walkers, and she ends up getting this wine, and she brings it to Lance, and says, I hope this is good. And Lance is like, so I see you figured a way, outside of the Commonwealth. And they just have a moment. And this is where, Carol is basically fooling everybody. And she's kind of getting on the inside with Lance, which is because she's brilliant. I absolutely love Carol. And she's getting people to believe that she's on their side. Carol is a mover and a shaker. But now we're coming into the party. This is the gala, the big Halloween party for those elites within the Commonwealth. And this really adorable moment. You see, the red flags being rolled out, and here comes Mercer well, first it was Sebastian. He comes up and people are like, like kind of like fake applauding, whatever. Then Mercer comes and everyone's going, Mercer, Mercer, like cheering him. And you see the look on Sebastian's face. He absolutely hates it. And there was a moment where he, fixed Daryl's, tie or shirt or whatever. And Rosita's like, he really hates you. That's a hate smile. And I thought that was funny. But the cool part was, Princess flirting with him, and he comes up to her and he's like, this isn't really, this doesn't do well for me. And she's like, yes, it does. Because she was really into, she gave him a compliment, said how he looks. Then, we're in the party and we see Princess with Yumiko, and you see Tyler. This is the same Tyler who was a Commonwealth guard, and Princess kicked her ass, and we find out that he's serving now, and the reason why he lost that position is because of what happened, because of that mistake that he says later that you're going to figure out, so that's why he got bumped out of that position. So something's going on there. And then we see Connie with Pamela, and she's kind of interviewing him, and she says, what would your father think of this whole class system that you have going here? And Pamela kind of brushes it off, and she goes, and brings her to this other person who says, this person worked their way up. This is their first party that they got to go to, kind of showing off the class system. Then she just turns around and walks away and kind of dusts them, which that's Pamela. Does not think highly of her. And I'm curious if she remembers that situation with her uncle and whatnot. And if she does, that makes me wonder why she let her be a reporter. But so I don't know. But then Tyler, he listens to Pamela's speech, and he says bullshit, slams the stuff on the ground. He starts saying that Pamela does not care about the people. He takes Stephanie, who we find out her name is Max. So this is not Stephanie, or at least that's what Pamela is calling her, Max. So, and he has a knife up to her throat. But you see that she's saying, I'm like you to Tyler. And Tyler is kind of losing it. And you see Mercer getting ready, and Pamela's saying, stop this. You could talk with me. And then he's pulling her back, and he takes off running. Daryl notices this right away, and he takes off after, Tyler, and ends up catching him. And it looked like it was in the haunted house. And he's talking to him, and he's telling him how, one mistake, which was the mistake with Princess, that led up all of this, and he has a family, he's not going to be able to feed them, and he's getting ready to kill himself. And Daryl's like, no, having a family is a luxury in a world like this. Don't do it. And he stops him, and Sebastian catches him, and he basically lets Sebastian take credit for it. Now, why do I think this is why this happened? Because two things. One, he saw that Mercer, and him were having problems, or Daryl understands that Mercer's seen that, and this is sort of Daryl allowing Sebastian to look good, which of course will make Mercer look good, and that's kind of him trying to get on the good side. But even more than that, it keeps Daryl on that low profile. It keeps him incognito. He's not, out in the open, which he would have if he would have been celebrated as a hero. And Daryl doesn't want that. He wants to keep a low profile. So that's why I think that he didn't want that, that accolade, because he wants to be able to be a nobody, essentially. Now, then you see Pamela talking with Lance, and this one's kind of interesting. Lance is, assuring her that he was, by himself, but Pamela seems to, because one of the things that Tyler was saying is that there are more like me, resist the Commonwealth. And she was asking, are there others? Because she seems to be worried about this, that there's about to be an uprising, which clearly the foundation is being set for that. Now, after that, Carol comes up to Lance and asks if the wine was okay. And Lance was like, it's a first good step. And then Carol, being Carol, she's like, well, what's next? And Lance is like, I'm glad you asked. So there's about to be a relationship with Carol and Lance, not like, boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, but he's putting and trusting in Carol. Carol is that wolf in sheep's clothing, and she's bringing him in, and he does not realize, what's going on. Another interesting thing is at the end of the party, you see people getting envelopes filled with money. So these are the elites. They're giving him the money, and I guess because they support Pamela or whatever. And meanwhile, everybody else is basically living like poor. Depending on the house, gets you certain better housing. Like Carol's house was actually pretty decent because she was running that bakery shop. I guess that's more important than the actual guards as far as class system. But then we do see Carol in her house, and Ezekiel comes up, and they're kind of reminiscent. It's really cute seeing them kind of reminiscent. But one key moment, he does hand her a box with Henry's name on it, and I'm assuming that's his remains, which was kind of a sad moment. They were both saying, you keep it, and he's like, no, you do it. But they, she kept a bottle of wine, and they were it, and you could see how, because basically Tommy, if you go back to that scene, he told her, don't tell him or whatever, because this could really be bad for him. But Ezekiel is maintaining what he is. He is smiling again, and I believe this setup in the Commonwealth is making him happy, because he gets to not worry about. He basically is at ease, and this is what he wants. And Carol sees that he's happy, and it's that yet I smile again from him. But then you see the scene where Daryl's in front of a mirror. Judas is there. He's dressed up in his guard. This was day 33 in the Commonwealth. And this, of course, is, if you go back to last episode, this is like right before we find, he goes up to Maggie, which I'll get to her in a moment. And he gives Judith this record player, and he's so she can play her record that she got from her new friend. And they start playing this, and the music, it's this badass, rock song, and the main theme of this is "Eat the Rich." So really driving home that method of this uprising, and the rich are bad, the high class are the bad, and you see Rosita, and I'm glad it was her that was going in. And they go into, looks like Tyler's home, and there's a hidden door, and in this room you see, all these things for spray painting words like, eat the rich, resist the Commonwealth, etc. And there was this kind of a neat picture of, it looked like just the head of a Commonwealth guard, and almost like neck spine, I don't know, but I was really focusing on that, but there's got to be something there, and I wasn't thinking of it. If you guys had any thoughts about that, I'd love to hear it in the comments. But yeah, you can tell there's a lot of stuff there, and Rosita is looking through that, and she's seeing some of the propaganda, and is realizing that there's a problem. Keep in mind, Rosita, Magna, Carol, and Daryl, those are the ones that are really paying attention to what's going on, at least what I've seen in this episode. So that was really interesting. And one thing I forgot to mention is that Rosita and Father Gabriel, they had a brief moment where they were, saying, he was saying, I'll take Coco, but they're not living together. So I thought that was strange. I don't know if something happened during that time, or time away from each other, but while he was away that's got me kind of curious. But now they're obviously going in to see Maggie soon, and we're going to find out what that last scene was, where Maggie was saying, you you know, you don't have to do this or whatever. And you see Daryl's like, yeah, I do. So it looks like they're at odds with each other. Something happened in that time frame. We don't know what it is, but I have a feeling that Daryl is, you know, playing detective, and he's maintaining a persona, so he doesn't look, so he can still maintain the role. But I'm curious as to what happened during that time that they're coming at Maggie, because obviously she didn't want to go to the Commonwealth. But yeah, what did you guys think? I really liked this episode. It was really cool. There's a lot of, this is one of those that I want to go back and watch again because there's little details everywhere. I was trying to read the wine, the order that Carol found. Of course, it's in Ohio. That's where I live. I believe this area is maybe like 2 hours from me where I live. So I think it's really cool that they're showing, this in Ohio. There's a lot of cool things that were in there that I just want to go back and watch again, listen to some of the different, conversations. And there's a post-credit scene, not a post-credit scene, but if you watch Talking Dead, the sneak peek, and you see Princess and Eugene, and they're in this, it was Stephanie's room, the Stephanie that he physically talked to, because she's gone, no one knows where she is. And he's fishing around, he finds a can with some bunch of stuff in there, but there's keys in there. And Princess is watching the window, watching for someone to come. And then, Eugene finds this briefcase, and Princess is saying there's somebody coming in the rain. And Eugene's like, how many clicks or what, and she's like, I'm not good at this. But we don't have any time left. So, and they're just opening the suitcase, and then that's it. So I'm really curious as to what that's going to be. But what did you guys think? Did you love the episode? I really enjoyed it. I think it's cool how they were, fleshed out the Commonwealth, the different job, the class within there. But I really did enjoy it. But now, as in all of these, I love to do a shout out for my friends, and this is no different. This one is going out. My shout out for this one is going out to my friend Lucy Sturgeon. Now, her and I met her during the zombie walk in Columbus, Ohio. Again, this Ohio theme. And that's the actual, if you look at the pic that I have for this video, that's both of us dressed up as zombies for that right before. And this is something we did for charity here in Ohio. But she has her own store called The Busy Witch, and there's a lot of crystals, incense, and really cool stuff in there. And I definitely, I want you guys to check her out. I'm gonna put all her links in the description. But I want to read what from her link and the About Us section. And this is what there's. So the store is called The Busy Witch, and you can order online or you can go there, which is in Medina, Ohio. But it says, we are passionate about the craft and would like to share our knowledge with you. And in the About Us section, I'm going to read this for you. The Busy Witch Shop is a metaphysical-based store driven to assist you in growing your spiritual practice and keep you well stocked up on your sacred tools. Due to us being a small business, the moment you make a purchase from us, you become part of our witchy family and community. We will do whatever means necessary and use whatever resources we have available to assist you with your spiritual growth. So yeah, like I said, the links to the, her Instagram's there. I'm going to have her link tree. I want you guys to check out at least the online store, and just see what she has to offer. Follow it on Instagram, and all the links will be on there. But I'm gonna let her do the talking for me, because this next clip is her, and I'm gonna have this in the video, but that's her during her grand opening. And this was basically, she opened this small business during this whole, pandemic that we have. And I'm really proud of the success that she has right now. So I wanted to, give her a shout out. Guys, check her out. And without further ado, here's Lucy. Check her out. And thank you guys for following me. I love you guys.
Oh, it's my turn. Well, I'm Lucy. I'm the proprietor or the owner of The Busy Witch. As I was telling her, I opened online as a small, tiny business on Etsy December of 2019. And then did so well online that I wanted to open up a physical location in October of 2020, which to me is astounding, the fact that I opened up in the middle of a pandemic. I chose Medina because as I was telling you, Medina does so much for their small businesses. I think it's just phenomenal, the amount of events and the stuff that they do to draw people here in order to do that. I don't see that anywhere else or any other smaller cities. And then I guess to sum everything up, I just have incredible gratitude for the community, Medina's community that has been supporting me. I've had people stop in when I very first opened. I couldn't even afford employees yet. I was working 7 days a week, and my people would stop in and be like, "Do you need help? I'll help. What do you need to do?" And that just goes to show the type of people that live in Medina. They'll give you the shirt off their back if they need to, and I appreciate it so much. I appreciate my friends and family. And now that I have a team, I'm so excited to have, I was waiting. Now that I have a team, I'm so excited for them to be a part of this journey with me. They honestly keep me sane. Owning a business is not easy, so they keep me level-headed and organized and keep me moving forward and help build and grow the business with me. So I appreciate them so much as well.
Congratulations.